Fred, we were making music 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Ow, that hurt! Ow! Is that wild? 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
91, I joined. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
It seems like, it honestly seems like about 5 years ago in the whole grand scheme of how my brain works.
Yeah.
It's been, what, probably 12 years, 15 years at least for you and I.
Yeah. Ken,
It was like late 90s.
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You had hair down here.
Oh, we had internet then.
It was just becoming cool.
Yeah, we used to play when there was no internet.
When you didn't look on stage and see guys going.
Yeah, exactly, in between songs. Yeah, I'll be right home, honey.
Oh, Paul's here. We can play now. All right, Crazy Arms.
Nice.
G. 3, 4, 1, 2. Turned on here. Test. Uh-oh. Check, test. G.
Oh,
I'm
mute.
supposed to
This is
mute.
mute.
Everybody, welcome. This is a great turnout. Very, very nice to see a lot of steel players and other musicians. There's a steel player there. And yeah, this is cool. Yeah, it's mostly going to be geared for beginners. Another guy I know right there. And so yeah, I'm going to get right into it. Basically talk a little bit about tuning. This is going to be boring for the non-musicians, the guys who know this, but as far as tuning, there's many different ways to actually properly tune a pedal steel. You can actually do the old school way, which is tuning by ear, which was developed years ago, basically before electronic tuners came into development. Basically guys would just get a root note from either a pitch pipe or another musician in the band, and then get a reference note, and then tune by ear after that. And that's a pretty tested method, and most of the pro players, they probably tune that way. You know, there's the odd guy, Buddy Emmons, at the end of his career, he would tune closer to what they call equal temperament, which is closer to a tuner, you know, much like a guitar player or a bass player would tune to, right? So you get a reference note, basically like an E note off your E ninth. Right, and I'm just gonna demonstrate how to do this. Like, this is basically already in tune, so this would be something else too. I basically tune, and most players tune slightly sharp of 440. Basically, you do that because of cabinet drop and other problems associated with pedal steel. It's not an instrument that's very stable, so you kind of have to monkey around with it a little bit. So I tune anywhere between 441 and 442. I find that's a good place because what happens when you hit these pedals, the A and B pedals, I don't know if you can hear it, you probably can't hear it, but what's happening is this fourth string, it's not being pulled by the pedals, but it actually, because of the stress on the cabinet, it does go flat slightly. So it's just a slight deviation there, right? You can hear it slightly. So I like to say, I like tuning slightly sharp as opposed to flat. If you get it too flat, it sounds a little bit sour to me. And most players do the same. So you get that reference note, which would be an E, and then you can tune your octave E by ear. And which would do, let's say it's flat. I would bring it up, you can actually hear it, hear the beats and the waves between the notes if you hit them together. The closer you bring it in, the beats and the waves disappear. And if you can't hear that between the notes, just to actually hit harmonics, I'm just hitting a chime, 4th string at the 12th fret, and then hit the 8th string at the 24th fret. And as you bring it up, you can hear the beats disappear, and that's when you know you're in tune. And actually, yeah, another good habit to get into is anytime you have a string that you're raising or lowering with a pedal or D lever, it's a good habit to hit that pedal or D lever that activates that string. So what it does is it allows that string to settle in pitch. So if I was just to tune it up normally, you know, it might not stay right there after I hit the pedal or the knee lever. So if you activate that pedal or the knee lever as you tune, it'll you know, kind of let that string go where it needs to go. So now I've got those octaves in tune, E string, 4th and 8th string, and then you can tune your 5th string, and same thing, it is actually a 5th of the chord, right, if you're in E. That's a B note, that 5th string, so you can basically, same thing, if you can't hear it this way just normally, right, you can hear those beats and waves slightly as it comes closer. You can chime your 4th string at 7th fret, and then your 5th at the 5th fret. Same thing, you can hear the fluctuation there. Now this one, I slightly tune flat, open position, because as soon as you put your bar down, something weird happens. You get stresses on certain strings compared to other strings. So you have to use your reference note. Your 4th string is in tune. You play your 5th string out off of that, right? I can hear it still a little bit flat. I'll just bring it up a bit. And then it's pure, it's right in tune with your ear, right? And you can do the same thing with the 10th string, right? Either play it naturally or hit the chime. Basically it's in tune open, but you know, you get up into the 15th fret and the higher frets, you might have to turn a string down a little bit. Certain strings will go sharp compared to other strings. So don't be afraid if it's, you know, it might be in tune open, but you get up in the frets that where you normally play, and it might be a little bit sharp. Go ahead and crank it down a little bit. you know, you can kind of split the difference to make it work throughout the whole neck of the guitar. Now doing this method is it's called just intonation. It's a fancy term for tuning by ear, JI for short. But there's another method. I mean, a lot of guys now tune equal temperament, which is basically just tuning every note to 440 on a tuner. You can do that. I'm not a fan of that. It's just, certain combinations sound sour to me. But there are problems with this method too. If you get into playing different string combinations, I'm just going to show you again how to tune the third string now. It's a little bit sharp there. See, the same thing. This is the third of the chord, this third string. So if I chime at this is the fourth string at the 9th fret, and chime the third string at the 5th fret, they should be right in there. Now, I'll be honest, I don't tune totally this way. I tune slightly, I tune the third slightly sharp. So I'll just show you for reference, please. Right around there would be by ear, so you get your bar out. It's a little bit flat, so you just bring it up to that, and the 6th, now you can tune the 6th string off the 3rd, because it's a pure 3rd. Now all those string combinations are in tune. And then you go through I'm not going to do it, but you go through the same system to tune your pedals and E levers. You know, press both pedals down, A and B, and you would tune those combinations out so they sound pure. Right? And the only difference, the only issue I should say with this tuning this way is when you get into the 1st and 7th strings. Now, you can tune them to the open position, but then they're going to be out of tune with the pedals down position. So you have one of two options. You either tune it to the open position and forget the pedals down position, or you can get what they call compensators on certain guitars. I don't have any set up on this guitar, but you can actually get compensators put on. And what you do is, once you get it in tune with the open position, you would press your pedals down, and the compensator would actually drop that string slightly. So it would bring it in tune with the pedals. I'm just going to show you with the tuner what it would do. So that's where it's pure with the pedals down. When you put it with the pedals up, it's out of tune again, right? So that's how I prefer it. I tune those combinations with the pedals up, because that's how I most often use them. And that's what you got to do. Basically, you kind of tune it. You look at a pro player's name. If you've ever read the steel guitar forum, there's debates about this all the time. That you got to tune this way, you got to tune that way. It's really a personal thing. You have to kind of try different, experiment yourself and find what works for you in basically how you play in these combinations, right? Tune the way you most often use the combinations, I should say. So, so that's basically just intonation. And like I say, if you were going to tune an equal temperament, it's yeah, I mean, if your ears can take it, I played so long this way that I have tried it at home and on the job before, but it doesn't sound right to me. It sounds sour, and it's, I guess my ears have been trained, and some of you guys have been playing a while, and you hear the same thing. It's, the pedal steel, when it was first invented years ago, these old school players, they tune by ear. So we're used to hearing these sweet sounds, all these sweet triads, and to deviate from that, it's sometimes hard to do. So, like I say, you have to kind of decide for yourself. You mess with it, experiment with it, see what works for you, and go from there. And so that's equal temperament and just intonation. But there's also a way called mean tone tuning, which is what I use now. I used to tune the old way. not the old way, but tuning totally by ear. Now I tune certain notes slightly sharper on the scale, which actually would be, nothing changes between the roots and the fifths of the chord when you're tuning just intonation or equal temperament. Don't ask me why, I don't know the theory behind it, but those notes come out virtually identical between a tuner and tuning them by ear. The only notes that come out different are the third of the chord. So in other words, a third string and a sixth string. So I tune those slightly sharp. I actually tune them to a tuner. You can tune them by ear, but I get a note off a tuner normally. And so a little bit sharper, what I find that does is when you're playing in a band situation, because most, I mean, let's face it, most sixth string guitar players, I would assume tune to a tuner straight up, right? Like
I tune my G as slightly sharp.
Slightly sharp. Yeah, I mean, but within reason, close to 440, I would assume. And most bass players are about the same. So what this does is it brings the pedal scale closer in tune with the other instruments in the band, I find. Not that you can't do it the other way, it's just, I find the tolerances are closer. You know, because you're dealing with temperature change and different things really affect this instrument, you know. So I find it's just easier this way to get a blend with the other instruments in the band. And something else you can do is, because it's raising those certain strings sharp, you can play these combinations, like I mentioned, the first and seventh string combination. You can play those together, and it's not offensive. They still work. Whereas the other way, if you don't use compensators, I guarantee you almost have to avoid those string combinations because they sound so sour. It's kind of like the wolf note or whatever on a piano that, you know. So it just lets you play any kind. I mean, I haven't found a combination yet that I can use. You know, it all works for me. So. There's just, like I say, I haven't found a string combination that you can't put together, and it blends fine with the band and by itself. So, you know, that's just something to think about. You guys have been tuning maybe by ear, you know, and avoid certain strings. It's just maybe something to experiment with. And like I say, after 20 years, I tuned the other way, and I just started this about 10, maybe 12 years ago, and it just seems to work better for me, and I know there's a bunch of players too on the forum that Emmons the last few years of his career tuned this way, and you know, he found it blended nicer with the band and stuff. So, any questions on that? Okay. Actually, while we're on tuning, you want to do that song?
Sure.
Yeah, they.
Set up there because it's got the drop tuning.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. All set?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
They got a bed petrol in 1951. Oh, my favorite record grew up on. They got old Hank left, B-24, set 'em up, Joe.
Fred Lewis on guitar. Yeah. Jay Reno on the snare drum. We've got Fred's one of the premier guitar players, I'm sure all of you know in Canada, and one of the best vocalists and songwriters and all-around great guys. It's a pleasure when we ever get to share the stage. It's fun. And Jay, I know Jay for many years. Great player, great guy. Don't get to see him enough.
Do I owe you money or something? It's worth it. Let him speak!
Yeah, just to talk a little bit more about tuning. That was a tune Vern Gott did years ago, and the great Jim Vest played steel on the record. And he used, I don't know if you noticed, I tuned the 10th string down. And it's basically if you're playing in, well, that was in D, but if you can tune it open in A. I'll just tune it back. That's B, a normal B note. So if you tune it down, pressure A and B pedals down. So you're basically tuning it down to a low A note. So it matches your 6th string with both A and B pedals down. And yeah, so it's giving you're basically getting 3 octave notes for the root notes. So 3, 6, and 10 now are all A notes open. So we're in D. And the intro, it's kind of a cool sound. It's pulling the third. It's pulling the third of the chord up into the D note, the D chord, and you're also pulling the root. It's pulling into the root, into the D note, so in the third of the chord. It's kind of a neat change. And it's a little bit out of tune in the open position, but it's not, you don't really notice it because you're pulling it up into the note in tune. So you could tune it open first and then tune the pedal down, but it's, because it goes by so quick, it's not a real big deal. The second position, he's playing out of a G9 chord, and yeah, it's just a really neat change. It's something, you wouldn't want to use it all the time, but it's something neat to experiment with. And you also use it on, what's that paycheck too?
Slide off your sat sheet.
Slide off your sat sheets. I did, yeah, so there, you wouldn't want to play it in the open position there because it is a little out of tune, but you could, like I said, you could tune it up if you needed to. It's really cool. You get the bass string and they're ringing over top of the third, raising the third. It makes for a really neat change. So I do it once in a while on certain songs, and it's just something different. Into the next topic would be playing behind the singer, backing up the vocalist, which we just did there. And the way I look at it is, again, the old school approach. There's a lot of great players out there, instrumentally and stuff, but certain players, they're sometimes too busy behind the vocalist, and I think the way I look at it is like a conversation. If the vocalist is the main feature in a song, unless you're doing an instrumental. So it's it's a conversation. So the vocalist should have the feature, and then if I'll say the steel's doing the fills on the first verse, then play fills in between the singer's lyrics, right? It can get lost real quick if the vocalist is singing and you're playing fills over top his vocals, right? It's if you're playing a live gig, the first thing the sound engineer is going to do is bring you back, right? Because you get in the way of the singer. So it's common courtesy to the singer sings this line, and then you play a line in between, either an answer or, you can play, if he's singing a melody of some sort, you can do an answer melody, let's say, or, you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I just listen to to me, my favorite recordings, and that's the approach I take. It's, I just, and there are other things you can do in behind. I'm not saying you have to always just play, while or not play while the singer's singing. You can do some neat little, little pads in behind, right? There's nothing saying you can't do that. But I would keep the volume back slightly, you know what I mean? Don't play quite as loud for those lines. And then, when you're doing fills in between, you can pretty much almost play as loud as a solo, because you don't get in the way that way, I find. And so that's, like I say, that's my approach for fills, anyway, between behind the singer. Any questions on that?
Isn't the vocals the annoying part between solos? That's what people call it.
They get in the way of the soul.
Yeah, there's annoying stuff between the solos.
Some bands you'd think so.
But you sing.
Depends, yeah, good point.
Do you want to do one more, Fred? You got something else? Do you want
You want to do like a ballad or something?
to? Sure. Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, your choice. Whatever you want.
Like help me make human hate or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's easy. It's in D, J.
D? Oh, great.
Take the ribbon from your hair, shake it loose, let it fall. It's all against your skin, like the shadows on the wall. Come and lay down by my side.
Pardon?
You're using your fourth pedal, is that Frank?
Yes, yes it is, yeah. Yeah, it's, for those that don't have it, the fourth pedal is often, a lot of players switch it from the C6 to the E9 and drop the 5th and 10th string whole tone, and then drop the 6th string whole tone as well. So it's, and this is often called the Franklin pedal, Franklin change. So it's a pretty neat thing. Like for instance, that key there, D we were in, you can use it in the open position of the 10th fret. You can play any of the major string combinations, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 8, and 10, and you can come off this pedal. You can bring it in and release it. It makes a nice little lift. It's that's in the open position. Like I say, any of the string groupings. It works on 3, 4, and 5. It's just lowering 5th a whole tone, and it's keeping the 3rd string in the same spot. But it still works. I mean, and you can also use it in the pedals down position at the 5th fret. If you have A and B pedals down, you can come off of those and then hit that 4th pedal. It makes a nice little melody, and you can do it, like I say, any string combination. A lot of times too, you can just use a couple of strings. It sounds real cool when you use the lower register strings, like just 8 and 10. Type sound, right? Oh, a little bit out of tune, but... And actually, you can use it in the open position in D. If you're playing in D, it brings that B note down to an A, so you can actually play with the 9th string D. And get that nice low tone there. It's kind of a very neat thing, and another cool thing you can do with it. Paul Franklin did this on I believe it was an old Alan Jackson recording, "Live It on Love," I think it was. Yeah, the solo was like I don't remember the exact solo, but. He's going from that's an A, but he's going from an E in a 5 chord. He's going from the E to the E7, basically. So it's creating a flat 7 chord. So if you're at the 7th fret and you play strings 4, 5, and 6, and then slide it down at the 5th fret, it'll lower your E's, your 4th string, at the same time. So it's release A and B pedals, but keep your lever engaged, lowers that 4th string, and then go over and hit the Franklin pedal. You get a neat flat 7 chord there. Yeah, it's basically like going, if you go back, if you're at E, go back to your 3rd fret and raise your E's to half a tone. Right, that gives you an E7 with no A or B pedal down. So, but the cool thing about this is you're not changing positions. You can leave your bar right there, and you get that that nice smooth movement, right? And then to resolve back to A, you can just release that lever and then release the Franklin pedal, and everything's back to the 1 chord. So it's a really cool tuning. Like I say, it's not just a lick pedal. You can use it for chord voicings and different things, and for melody. Just plain melody playing. Okay. Any questions on that stuff? Yeah.
Is that the pedal that's used in the Vince Gill tunes where it does that da 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 da? Or is that more bar?
Is that Huey doing that? Or?
It'd be Huey doing that.
Do you know what tune?
Yeah.
And the Keeper Country has that lick in it.
What is it? Yeah.
It's a fill in the second verse, I think.
Front of the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure the particular lick. I'd have to hear it. You can almost tell, like, certain, you can almost hear when they move the bar, you know what I mean? Like, Franklin, I noticed Paul does something in that together again with Vince Gill. It's over the 4 chords, so he's playing whatever the fill is before, but it's over the 4 and he's doing that. You gotta see him move the bar, so you can do that move just by keeping the bar there and use the pedal, right? It's but he does it moving the bar, so it's, you know, I mean, it's a preference thing. If you're just hitting 2 notes, you can do it either way, I guess, right? Or so. Bakersfield, yeah.
Great CD.
Yes. I don't know if any of you guys have the other changes too, some of the more modern changes where you're raising the first and second string together. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do there as well. The first string raise has been done for quite a while. Like that's actually the intro, or the first part of the solo there, that Living on Love. That's a pretty common change now, that raising that first string a whole tone, but I don't know who did. I don't know if it was Paul Franklin or whoever started doing the second string raise along with it, half a tone. So you get the same note as the fourth string. It's unison. But if you play those two together, 1 and 2, you get them both lifting at the same time. So it's you know, it makes for a real cool melody. And if you lower your second string a whole tone, which most of you guys do, a half and a whole, you can get the, you actually get right, you can get the full chromatic movement there, which is kind of neat. So if you're a D to a 7th, and then if you lower your lower the second string a whole tone, and then raise your third string, you get it brings you to the 4 chord, so you get all that movement. You don't have to repick the strings. You just you know, let it all sustain over the change.
That was a half knee lever bend, right?
Yes, yeah.
That's dude, that's great.
Yeah, a lot of guys have that too. It's a half stop on the second string. I would say most guitars now are equipped with that, so you can. But yeah, if you raise that string, release it, and it's a half stop there on the lever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then lower it the rest of the way.
Is there like a notch here? Is there a pressure point on it? Or?
Yeah, you can feel it. It's got a little spring. Most guitars have a spring set up on them, so you can adjust the tension and
Cool.
feel it. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, so it. Yeah, so I know some of you guys raise that first string a half a tone. That's an old school change, but it's still a very good change. You can put a half stop on that as well, on that first string. I don't personally, but because I like to feel that first string raised smoothly. So if you put a half stop on there, you might feel a little jerk and hear it as well, right? So if you're doing these type of slow moves and ballads, what I do is I just get used to just using half the knee lever basically to feeling it and listening for the tuning to get that half tone. It's just, to me, it's no different than half pedaling. The A pedal, right? You get a lot of, right, to get that augmented chord, you gotta get used to, half. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're freaking me out.
You get used to half pedaling that A pedal to get the augmented, right? So to me, it's no different. You just get used to feeling it and listening for it, and you'll find it.
Do Sweet Memories?
Sweet
Everybody does that.
Yeah. You know Sweet Memories, by chance?
I don't.
No.
That you're talking the,
Just,
I don't-
yeah.
I know the song, but I don't know all the changes in it. I know it mods a couple times through it, or mods and comes back, I think.
We don't have to do a mod. We can just play it straight through if you want.
Try it.
Yeah.
We're saying that, I think we swim to shore. Just don't say it's like a B flat or something.
We'll do the G. Yeah, just stay in G. The bridge goes to D, goes to 5, and then J, a few.
Yeah, follow me.
We'll just start right off the top. No intro. 3, 4, 1, 2.
changes from G to F on the report, I believe. It's a weird mod.
Yeah, she's singing it, and yeah. Okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about technique, right and left hand techniques with this instrument, because pretty important. You need to be able to mute certain strings when you don't want them to ring, and other times you do want them to ring. So it's it pretty much stems for that part, pretty much stems from the right hand. And you're going to find a bunch of different pro players use different techniques for this. It's, you basically have to experiment and find what works for you. I kind of adopted the pick blocking technique years ago after seeing Paul Franklin play, and yeah, I like it. It's a very clean technique. It allows you to play fast single note lines very quickly and easily, you know, because there's not a lot of movement. It's kind of an economy of motion, if you will. The less you can move, quite honestly, it stems right from here. You want to keep your shoulder basically really relaxed and your arm, you know, just comfortably fall down, and also get it set up properly. You want to have the height of your seat and your guitar, so that basically this is coming down at a 90-degree angle and level with the instrument. And because that's very important. You don't want to have stress on the wrists, you know, if you're playing for long periods of time. And yeah, so yeah, you just keep everything in line here, and when you come down with the right hand, it's for the pick blocking thing, you're putting the picks into the strings at all times. It's kind of a technique where you're not bouncing so much with the hand as you're utilizing each finger into the individual strings. So it's a very planned technique. You almost need to know exactly what you're going to play next, because you're playing group combinations of 3. For those that use a 4th finger pick, that's fine. You can dig that into another string. But if you're using 3, it's you know, let's say just to show you. Just to show you the easy way, when you're playing, let's say 2 strings. Let's say you're doing a fast riff with 2 strings. You're digging those strings in. I'm just going to show you something on strings 4 and 5. So you've got your thumb. I've got my thumb on the 5th string. I use my index finger for sometimes doing just 2 strings like that, close together. But you can use your middle finger. It doesn't matter. Whatever's comfortable for you. So you're just bouncing back and forth. If you're doing something like that, right? That's only 2 strings, but it's just bouncing back and forth. So how the technique works is you got your thumb pick into the 5th string, your pick finger into the 4th string, and you're just alternating like that particular lick. You're slide up off the thumb, and you're playing your 4th string. Now, to slow it down, when you're playing that 4th string, the thumb is going back into the 5th string, right? So when I play that 5th string, to mute it, I put that thumb right back on the string, and then I'm free to hit the 4th string with my index finger or middle finger, it doesn't matter. Right, and so this particular lick is just bouncing back and forth between 2 strings. Very easy technique, it's very clean. You know, there's not a lot of motion with the right hand, so it's easy to do once you get it down. And I prefer it. You know, there's certain things you have to palm block. You know, if you're doing big chord or something, right, like on C6 or something, where you're strumming a whole handful of notes, strings, you gotta mute those somehow. You gotta do it with the palm, right? So but if you're blocking single notes, it's a great technique because it's, like I say, it's very easy and clean. I'll just show you another, when you're doing fast single note stuff across the strings this way, like not necessarily working off 2 strings. Let's say, something like that. So you're working from the 3rd string down to the 8th. So you're setting yourself up. The way I would pick that, I've already got my middle finger on the first string, my index finger on the third string, and my thumbs on the fourth string. So this particular lick starts with the index finger on the third string. You got your D pedal down. Release that pedal. So you get a free note there. Anytime I'm fast stuff too. Anytime you can use a pedal, release a pedal, or add a pedal, you can gain speed, right? Because you're not attacking that string again. So release that pedal, hit the first string, hit the fourth string with my thumb. So I've already got my fingers dug into those strings. Fourth, now this is where you need to move. I put my middle finger on the second string at this point. Now what you have to do is, because you're going into the bass strings, you need to move your whole, like I play in groups of 3 with 3 picks. So you need to start moving your hand down into the lower range, but always keep it in groups of 3. So when I'm moving down, second string, now I've got my thumb on the fifth string with the A pedal down. See, now I've moved everything back, so it's right, and now same thing, I'm moving the thumb back, and as you do that, you don't have to mute. That's something else with pick blocking. You don't have to mute every string with the same thumb or finger you pick it with. That's the beauty of the technique. You can actually mute it with other fingers, so it's set up, right? It's set up that way. As you come back, you can use your index finger or your middle finger to mute that string that you just picked with the thumb. So it's, there's the thumb, picking that fifth string, release it, and now I'm picking the sixth string with the thumb, with the E pedal down. Now, but I put my index finger into the fifth string to mute that last pick note. Okay, so then I'm picking the fifth string with the index finger open, thumb on the sixth string, bring that thumb back down to the seventh string. Again, you're muting that sixth string, the one behind it, you can mute with the other 2 fingers. And just keep working your way back. It's thumb again, picking that thumb on the 8th string and mute the 7th string with either finger pick, whatever's comfortable for you. Just experiment with it, try different combinations to see what works best for you. And again, same with going up. If you're going to play something like that, you can pick block that. That's 8th string with the thumb, 7th string with the middle index finger, 6th string with the middle finger, and then you press into the D pedal. And then the 5th string, open, and then press the A pedal. And same thing, you're working your way up now, so you can mute those strings. Now, actually, it would be with the thumb now, so a certain combination you're playing with finger picks. And something else you can do is a note that's played with the thumb, you can actually block with the back of the thumb. So in other words, if you're playing into the string, even just 2 notes like that, I'm playing the 8th string with the thumb, and then I'm playing the 7th string with the thumb. If you pick deep into the string with your right hand, that 8th string is automatically going to be blocked with the back of your thumb or the back of the thumb pick. And that's a free block, a free note to me. You don't even have to bother putting your palm down or muting it with another finger or pick. So you can do that too. And same with coming back the other way. If you play a certain note with your middle finger, right, 4th string, let's say, and then you're going to play, let's say, the lower grips. I put that pick right back into the 5th string, and it automatically blocks right here with the band or the fingernail with the middle finger. Right? It's just just happens naturally. So again, that saves you time. It's economy of motion for fast stuff. So whatever you need to do to get the notes out, basically. So. questions on that? No questions, wow.
What scales are you using when you're practicing that mostly? Just your major scales and minors?
Yeah, I normally use major scales for that, yeah. Yeah, that's big. Actually, both of those licks are based off major scale, so. Right, that one, that's not C major, yeah. And those are all major positions and string groupings, so.
And you're going straight across the guitar most of the time?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean do I deviate from that for fast playing? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm just showing the basic.
For practice, yeah.
Right, yeah. It's good for right hand technique because you don't want to be too concerned with your left. Like if you're going to do something like, oh, sorry. You know, if you're moving the bar all over, right? It's too. You're concentrating on this, so if you just want to do right hand technique.
That's for my next length time.
Yeah, I say if you're just concentrating on right hand technique, you should stick with the basic major scales for now to get them up to speed, and then you can go from there, right? But it's and just take it slow. Like when you're learning fast stuff, it's really a mental thing. When you get a certain amount of technique with your right hand, you know, it's because everybody. I mean, I'm sure you can play fast stuff, just on a couple strings, right? You can do. Right on bluegrass or tunes like a banjo type roll. Really, like all you need is more knowledge of the instrument and music, because it's I know I've painted myself into a corner many times because you start experimenting with the out of position frets, and it's pretty easy to lose your place real quick. But if you stick with the major positions, it's on the fast stuff, it's easier. What's that?
That's what I need, the easy stuff.
Well, some of the easy stuff, that's the best too, I think. It's
Commonly used, yeah.
it's the sweetest, yeah, too. Want to sing one for? I don't know. You pick.
Last one then.
We can if you want.
You want to do something like 2000 miles with the or something?
Sure, yeah.
Well, she don't love me, she loves my old man. She don't love me, she loves my old man. She'd do anything to slide behind the wheel. Cause if it wasn't gonna take you, lay yours off on
No, that's okay. Yeah, so that's you can, you know, if you guys are trying to maybe fit in with some of the younger country bands, a lot of the stuff I get hired for now, the new country stuff, it's not so much the, you know, the scale that I was playing before, the traditional stuff, which I love, but it's more that kind of stuff that emulate a slide guitar, or actually fiddle. I do a lot of fiddle gigs too, where I'm covering fiddle parts, and it seems. So yeah, it's just, you know, certain things you can do to emulate those sounds. So this is just a cheap fuzz box, but it's, you know, you get the, just distorted sound, right? You get the sustain and everything, and it just, you know, you can cover a lot of the slide guitar type parts. It's a little rich. You know, because you know, it covers another lead guitar part, and it still allows you to play to fit into the band type thing. So I do a lot of that, and like I say, covering fiddle parts, and just, you know, it gives you another option to, as opposed to just playing pedal steel and trying to, you know, do some of the old stuff which I love, but it's we're losing jobs for that kind of music, unfortunately. So
It's a shame.
yeah, it is a shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I'm with you. I like the old stuff.
Yeah, so yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys.
It's got feel. And no, with no disrespect to the new music. I mean, I know it evolves and it always goes to where the money ends up going. I get it. But I just don't want to necessarily follow it.
Yeah.
That's all. I'd rather stay with you and play old country.
One of the best examples I've seen of that, I was watching a concert one night of Martina McBride. She's doing all the contemporary country, and they come out, and her and the band, they switched back to traditional. You couldn't believe it. Like, it was just awesome. And,
Yeah.
I mean, the band was just solid as a rock.
And I'm sure the band enjoyed it too. They
yeah.
love playing that stuff. So.
And even Martina, I never heard her do the traditional stuff, and man, she was dynamite. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got back from Nashville 2 days ago, and saw the Time Jumpers and the Mid-Skill. I mean, that's just, you can tell his heart's in that stuff. He sings it with so much, you know,
Oh, yeah.
emotion and everything. It's,
Watch that, makes you want to quit.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's not there for the money.
No.
But he even said that, you know, like Station Inn. I mean, they tip the, or whatever, when it's all said and done, everybody makes like $38.50. But that's not the point.
No.
The point is that they're there to play traditional,
Yeah.
well, actually it's more Texas swing.
Swing, yeah.
Than country, but it's because he wants to be there. He doesn't need the money, he just likes the music.
Yeah.
Same what we were talking about. If I had an option to tour the world and play traditional country or new country, I'll take the traditional,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Dale's show, nothing to see here.
No, that's soapbox.
I was stretching it out for you.
Nobody here gonna be arguing with you on that.
Dale,
Yeah.
your volume pedal, is that a Goodrich 120, or what do you use there?
Yeah, just a standard pot pedal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
120, yeah.
Yeah, I put because the pots we get these days are pretty chintzy. They came with a PEC, I think, the Canadian pots or whatever they put in them, and they last about 3 months, if that, right? So this is it's got a Dunlop 470K pot, what they call it, from Tom Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Out in California, and I've had this pot in there for over a year now, and it's not scratchy at all. It's
Yeah, it sounds really smooth.
it's clean, and yeah, it changed the tone slightly. Because it's I think it's a little darker maybe than the other pots, but it's you just adjust your amp a little, and no issue. It works great.
Dale, how's that compare with the Hilton, the laser one?
I've got one of those too, and I do like the Hilton. It sounds good and everything works great. I do notice a tone difference though. The Hilton seems to be a little brighter, a little sharper. So So again, you have to either adjust your amp or whatever to accommodate, but they work great. The only reason I started back using this is because you get certain stages where people like to tromp on things like chords and whatnot. So it's something else to plug into, right? So somebody caught their high heel on it or whatever and pulled it out of the thing, and it.
Frank.
Yeah. My wife's here. So yeah, I just went back to this just for convenience because you don't have to bother plugging it in. And
Have you ever had any trouble with the Hilton? Any problems that you've come across?
no, other than that issue with the cord, like it shorted out. No, it's
That was the power cord?
yeah, it's got a adapter you can plug in. Yeah. So other than that, no, it's been good. I keep it as a spare. So yeah.
So you prefer this one?
Yeah, I do only for tone and for tone and just convenience too. I mean, 'cause sometimes when you do summer shows or whatever, you're literally 10, 15 minutes to set up, and tune and be ready. So it's just throw it down and plug the cords in. You don't have to worry about finding a power outlet or whatever. Yeah, it's more convenience, but I like the sound of it. Really. Just finishing technique on the right hand. I think pretty much covered that blocking thing. Just talk a little about the left hand. How are we doing time-wise, Bill? Are we still good, or? Huh? We're still okay? Okay. The right hand. Like I mentioned tuning before at the beginning here. This is the tuning device right here. After you tune the open strings, right, with the keys and the pedal and the lever changes, this decides the tuning right here. So, you have to keep your bar as straight to the fret as possible, right? In tune. And the pressure too. Watch your pressure because if you put too much pressure, you're going to pull the guitar out of tune. That's excessive, but some guys do that. It's going to make the notes go sharp compared to other strings. So, but if you don't have enough pressure, you get this. You get the rattling sound, which nobody wants very much. So just enough pressure, and keep those fingers in behind the bar on the strings behind it to mute any unwanted overtones. Right, just enough pressure to get that nice clean sound, and actually you don't want to hang on too tight to the bar. It's almost like a loosey-goosey type thing. The less of a death grip on the bar, the better your tone's going to be. It's going to be just a cleaner, smoother sound. And another thing with the left hand, you need to move it up and down the strings. In other words, if you're playing, let's say you're just on strings 3 and 5, just basically cover the 3rd string. I sometimes cover the 2nd string just to be careful, right? That you don't come off the string with the bar, but just cover those strings that you need. It makes a better tone, and plus it helps with accuracy with your right hand when you're actually picking the notes. It keeps everything in line. And again, lower strings, especially on lower strings, if you're playing, let's say, strings 8 and 10, right? If you've got the bar farther ahead, cover other strings like the top strings, you might get some of that unwanted noise, that bar noise, right, on the top strings. So if you're just covering the strings you need that you're playing, it's a smoother tone, it's a better sound, and like I say, it helps with your right hand as well to follow it. So yeah, constantly be moving your bar, as you're playing different string groupings. Now obviously if you're playing a wide grip, like let's say strings 3, 8, and 10, that's a big grip, right? you've got high strings and low strings mixed in there, you obviously have to cover the whole thing, right? Use the bar to cover those strings. So you may have to add a little bit extra pressure to get everything to sound good, so you don't get the rattle. Down in the lower, and something else too, you don't need as much pressure on the higher frets. As you get down to the lower frets, like especially the first fret, you need a little bit more pressure because of the strings crossing at the roller nuts here. You're going to get more of that buzz. Now, some of you guys might have guitars that have gauge rollers, so you don't have to worry about that as much. I think the Ben Rom has a gauge rollers, so it's good to go. But the older style guitars like Showbuds and Emmons, they'll give a little bit of rattle, so you got to use a little bit more pressure down there to keep it smooth. Otherwise, you would get that sound, right? So, with the left hand as well. Yeah, I mean, it's, you guys have been playing a while and know this, but you want to be right on the fret as well, not just straight to the fret with your bar, right over top of the fret, as long as you're in tune. That's great. But this instrument is much like a fiddle or a fretless instrument that you need to play in tune with the band, right? It's a lot of times where you're going to get guitar players maybe a little bit sharp or flat, not this guy. But you're going to get into a live situation where the other instruments might not be right on 440. So you tune the best you can, and then you use your ear and the bar to you might play a little bit sharp of the fret to get it to sound in tune with the other instruments. That's the nature of the beast, or a little bit flat, whatever. But again, going back to the tuning thing, that's once you get in tune, it's really all about your ear, to train your ear to hear these sounds and the tones, and it just takes practice. Just sit with it and play with tracks. At home if you're not playing with a band, put on a track and really try and listen deep to what's going on with the band, because you can you'll be able to hear it. If, certain notes, if they're not blending with the other instruments, you'll be able to figure out where you need to go, type thing. So just like I say, just train your ears to hear those tones, and it'll come eventually. Trying to think anything else with the left hand. One thing you can think about, if you guys do the hammer on or pull-outs with the bar, like this type of stuff, that type of thing, if you're bouncing off one string, it's okay to tip the bar slightly forward and play with the nose of the bar almost. If you just keep it on the bar, same thing, you're going to get those notes that you don't want to hear ringing or whatever overtones. So it's a good idea to just nose that bar slightly forward and just use the tip. And you get a clean note that way. It's not going to drag off the other strings. Just a good habit to get into. And something else, when you're placing the bar in your hand, keep it. It's basically, when you are picking up the bar, it's being grasped between your middle finger and your thumb. This is just a guide. Your index finger just sits on top of there as a guide to add pressure when you need it. But keep that middle finger extended slightly past the nose of the bar, because what that's going to do as you come back on the strings, let's say you happen to miss a pick block or blocking with your right hand on that note, this finger will pick it up. This middle finger will block the note. Right? But if you got that finger back, you're not going to be able to block it cleanly. So that's a good habit to get into. Just keep that that middle finger extended. Yeah, so that's pretty much the left hand.
On your vibrato, Dale, I notice you always roll the bar. You don't slide it back and forth. Do you ever use it like a slide technique as opposed to the?
Yeah, I do. For I don't know if I did it for the rockier stuff, but for you know, if I'm doing more like to get that more bluesy type sound, I will slide the bar back and forth like that because you want to hear the strings. You want to almost hear that grit and the strings ringing in behind. You know what I mean? It almost sounds better to hear that train wreck almost. Right? That type of sound. But if you're just doing country, if I'm doing a slow ballad, right, I'm gonna do that rock mode. It's sweeter, yeah, it's sweeter, and something else that happens if you want to sustain a note. You know, eventually doing this, you're gonna hear that bar note straight. But if you do this, you roll the bar. Keep sustaining that as long as you got volume pedal. You can keep sustaining that note as long as you got volume, and the bar noise doesn't take over right from the note. You can still hear the clarity of the note, right? Yeah, it's just as much sustained as you can coax out of the instrument. You know, it's. To me, that's what separates this instrument from any other instrument in the world. It's got that voice, right? There's no other instrument where you can play through so many chords, just hit a chord. You know, you don't have to restrike the strings, you just keep moving through the changes, and it sustains. It's very unique that way.
How do you do your chimes?
That's a good question. I have a couple different methods I use.
I've been watching.
Yeah, I use the old school method, the palm technique, where you basically line up your palm with the, let's say you're at the 3rd fret, so you chime at the 15th fret. You always go an octave above, so 12 frets above. So if you go 15th fret, right, so I'm just picking with the thumb, that's pretty common. And it's easy to hit 2 strings too if you want to do that, you know. But there's another method I use, which is if I'm doing single notes. I just use the pinky. I'm using the tip of the pinky almost, and it's actually a cleaner sound. I find it's a brighter tone, so it cuts through nice if you're just doing single. And the cool thing about that is you can get, because your thumb doesn't get in the way, it's closer to the chime. You can actually chime at the 12th or 12 frets higher, which would be the 15th fret. You can chime at the 10th fret, and then chime at the, if I can hit it, at the 5th fret. So you get the nice octave above that. And something else too, another method I use is when you pick that way with that middle, or the pinky finger, you can actually play the string above it with your index finger, so you can get this type of effect. So you're picking, it's almost like a harmony. Because you're getting the open note with your index finger, and you're getting the harmony with your pinky. So it's kind of a neat effect. So I use that quite a bit too. Or even this method, where you lay both fingers across. So that's pretty common too, but it's yeah, you're getting 2 notes that way as well. Right, that's common method as well. I've tried that, but where they do this, and it's awkward for me. I've never been able to perfect that way, so I never did. Any questions there?
Do you do any pulls behind the bar with your finger?
I I actually don't. I mean, you can do that. That's raising a good point. If you don't want to raise that first string half, like if you raise it a full tone, which I mentioned earlier, and some guys raise it a half a tone, that first string. If you don't want to do that with a lever, you can actually get away a lot of times with doing what Fred just mentioned, where you're pulling the string with your finger behind the bar. So you can, I don't do it, because it's hard for me to do, but and it's hard to get the tuning right on. I know some guys do it. I believe Doug Johnson does. He still, I think he raises his first string half a tone, and then pulls it the rest of the way with his,
I've seen him do that.
yeah, with his finger behind it, and he nails the tuning really well. But it's another option, yeah, exactly. You can get that half tone raised. So yeah, something else to think about, you know, when you're doing your setup. That's another thing too, like, you know, you can experiment with different setups. Weiss and I were just talking about that before, and I think it's whatever you get comfortable with. It's, you know, you're gonna get the same music out of a basic setup that you're gonna get out of you know, 8, 10 pedals, 8 knee levers, or whatever. It's just it's up to the player, right? I mean, we've all seen Lloyd Green and all these guys play amazing music with just a basic setup, right? And do bar slants and whatever, right? It's all there. It's just a matter of finding it on your instrument. So you know, it's good to experiment, but if you you know, if you've got a basic setup, you can just work through that and find what you need to do, find where you need to play to find those notes, right? Because I mean, obviously you get the same chords at so many different frets, right? They're just different versions of the same notes or chords. So it's just a matter of sitting down and working with it.
Is there a preference, Dale, like to have a minimal bar movement? In other words, like play as much on the one fret as you can using pedals and levers, or are you better off to be jumping back and forth from fret to fret?
Well, I think it depends what you're going for, right? I think both options are good. Right, it depends on the song, maybe, let's say.
I suppose
Right.
it's the sound that you're after too, if you
Yeah.
change, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
There's really no rule.
there's no rule, that's right, no rule. Yeah, because you can, I mean, like I say, you can do this, right? I mean, it's very simple, but to get this sound, right, the basic pedal will go from 1 to a 4, or you can do, right, you're re-attacking the strings and sliding up to get the same notes, but it's different, totally different sound, right? You're achieving the same thing, but in a different way, and it does sound different. Just like that brings up a good point. A lot of guys do a diminished chord, right? If you're doing diminished, right? You use that F lever, the lever that raises your 8th string and 4th string half tone, right? Some guys do this, just slant the bar, right? It gives us a different sound. So you're doing the same thing. Sounds slightly different, especially if you really milk it, you know, it's, you know, that type of, as opposed to just going, you know, there's a whole different sound there in doing that, you know. You know, slants can give you more options for sure. Are we close? I'm almost out of material.
Modulation. Any tricks in the modulation? Go one chord up?
I'm sorry?
Modulation.
Oh, like how to get from one chord to another?
D go into an E or something.
Right. Well, I mean, there's just a standard, if you're in D going to E, you can go, right, obviously it's going to the B7, which is the new 5, right, the E chord. So you can slide down, I mean, that's pretty basic. A neat thing I do is, so that's very simple. All you're doing is 10th fret, picking strings 4, 5, and 6. Slide up to the 12th fret, and you press your B pedal and lower your E's, half a tone. And there, that's B7th, and then you're right there. You can just release the pedal with knee lever. And you're right into your new 1 chord, the E chord. So that's a cool way, I think. Yeah, I can't think offhand right now for my HUDs, but oh yeah, actually, where's? That's kind of a cool way to get there too. That's a chromatic thing. If you're at the 5th fret, 6th or B pedal down, 6th string, slide it back 1 fret, and keep your B pedal down. Hit your 5th string, right? So let those sustain, and then slide it down again to the 2nd fret and squeeze in that A pedal. Keep the B down. Pick strings, let's say 4 and 5 with your A and B pedals down. And actually bring in that lever that raises your 4th string a half a tone. Keep the A down anyway. You keep A and B, it doesn't matter. And that would be a quick move there. And then just slide that up to the 3rd fret. Yeah, so you've got your A down and lever that raises your 4th string. Half a tone. And that'll bring you up to the new 1 chord. So yeah, stuff like that, chromatic type stuff, I like. You could do, you know, so that's just basically honking off the A pedal, 10th fret. And you're on strings 5, 6, and 9. Slide it back, do the same thing. And then to get that augmented, the B7, you just press your A pedal halfway down. And you can pick your 4th string or pick 4, 5, and 6. Slide it up to the 11th fret to get your augmenteds repeat every 4 frets, right? So, and then slide it up to your 12th fret, release the pedal. Or you could go back, slide it back to the 7th, and then A and B down, and that'll give you your new E, new 1 chord there.
Very clever. Fantastic.
Good, right?
Unbelievable.
You do John Huey's Look at Me?
Man, I'm a fake version. I don't know. It's been. Would you sing it?
Sure.
Oh, nice.
E or E flat and E?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, yeah, I'll use this right there. I won't play the drum. Cool. By request, by my dad. Okay, no, I know you were gonna watch this.
Go ahead, chop it in, buddy.
All right.
Speaker for you.
3, 4, 1, 2.
After all the just look at us. This is Mr. Dale Rivard.
Okay.
John would be proud.
Great job, Jay.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Nice job, guys.
I was following him,
Yeah.
just so we're clear.
All right. How are we doing on time now?
Do one more tune here, Jay, or Dale.
Oh, okay.
One more tune.
One more, okay.
You're losing the